This is Badass Billy Gunn, 11-time WWE Tag Team Champion, Intercontinental Champion, Hardcore Champion, and you're listening to IcoPod. You gotta hear this. And if you're not listening to this, I got 2 words for you. Suck it.
Good golly, Miss Molly, we have survived the Survivor Series, and we are moving forward towards WrestleMania 10, brother. I'm Bob Conley Jr., and joining me as always, my brother to the end, the best co-host in the history of forever, Austin Skinner. What's going on, man?
Well, it's a bittersweet week this week, Bob, because I'm not in Syracuse anymore. I recently visited Syracuse over the holidays to see my good friend Bob Conley Jr. And we were able to sit down a couple times, film some things. We did, of course, a couple segments on the old Facebook of some Sega Genesis wrestling, which was very good.
I think we broke my controllers.
Probably.
Smashing them. So.
Yeah, probably. So that was fun. That was cool. It was good to hang out with you. We also got our friend Dallas Gridley, a.k.a. Hogan 98 Money.
That's right.
In on one of our live watches that'll be coming out at some point in 2019. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, the bonus episode with Dallas Gridley will probably be released sometime this month.
Oh.
Because I think we're all caught up on those. So Perfect. It's really that one with Dallas and the one that we did on our own. I'm going to do ideally probably one a month.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that will be released in probably a couple weeks from when you're hearing this. Today is only the 10th, January 10th.
Right.
So by the time you're listening to this, it's like the 14th. So we've caught up on our schedule of recording. We're no longer 6 weeks ahead.
Yeah. So enough, John.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But yeah, so that one was, with Dallas, we did Slamboree 93. Or no, Beach Blast 93, excuse me.
Yep.
And the one that we did on our own.
Highly regarded and requested by our listeners, by the way.
Yeah. And when you listen to it, you'll probably notice and hear our anger. It is the Battle Royal from Alberta Hall, right? Or something like that. The Battle at Alberta Hall.
Yeah.
It was so bad I can't even remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But we had gotten numerous requests to check it out. So, us being, 2 podcast guys that listen to our audience, what's best for business, it turns out that the fans decided to stab us in the fucking back. And we'll never get that 2 hours and 50 minutes of our lives back.
Yeah, we got fucked over.
Yeah, real bad.
Yeah. So
real bad.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, a bunch of assholes. Mick Price and Michael Vincent and whoever else fucking said it. Nick Dibadisky. I hate you.
Wait. Speaking of fucking Michael Vincent, okay.
Yeah.
I got a fucking bone to pick.
Is he hitting you? He hits me up on Twitter quite a bit now.
I blocked him.
2 a.m. You blocked him?
Yeah, I fucking blocked him.
Why?
Okay, because I saw a comment on Facebook that I did not like.
Is this about your first and last name?
So let's review. Okay, Michael fucking Vincent.
Oh man,
posts on our Facebook. Quite coincidentally, I suppose, that my first name happens to be after a guy who will be remembered forever, one of the best wrestlers of all time. He says, which okay, fair enough. Then he gets to my last name. And says that basically it's synonymous with pretty much a job guy who turned into then a clown.
Oh, an alligator hunter and then a clown.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's like a backhanded compliment. Like, yeah, you're okay, but you fucking suck.
Yeah, when I read it, I was like, oh, this is starting off good. And then by the end of it, I was like, I don't know. He said I was like an all-time great or something like that.
Yeah, well, because he's a Bob Conley Jr. mark. Let's just get that out of the way.
I've never had one of those, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, well, he's a mark, so what the fuck, man? You're blocked. Done.
All right, Mike. Well,
Done
Michael
with that.
Vincent's been blocked. I will not block Michael Vincent. I will always be there to read your messages at 2:30 in the morning.
Nope, he blew it. I'm done.
Well, not with me, Mike. We're still buds.
Son of a bitch.
We'll still chat.
You want to talk about jobber names, Vincent?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Iron Mike Sharp.
Oh, man.
And Vincent.
Oh, man.
Okay, so
Mike's one of our... Mike Vincent is one of our like highest regarded listeners. I mean, he's been following us since probably about day one.
Well, he probably also suggested the fucking Royal Albert Hall, and fuck that.
Yeah, probably.
So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Well, that's what we get.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. That one will be out sometime in February. Probably be like a Valentine's Day gift, which ironically, because it was a show that we fucking hated and we didn't love it. So
it's like opening up a box of chocolates and they're all fucking like toffee ones. Who wants to eat that?
My favorite one is like the coconut one.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, those ones are so good.
Yeah.
And so you got anything else going on in personal life or anything or no?
Well, being back in Orlando, just trying to get on schedule here with our tapings. I feel like we haven't taped in quite a long time, and that's because, well, we haven't. It was pre-holidays. Yeah, pre-holidays since the last time we jumped on the old Google Hangouts machine and made it happen here. So it's good to get back in a routine. It's going to be interesting as we kind of round out the year for 1993. We only have maybe couple episodes left of the year to watch through, so that's pretty cool. I am super excited for 94, and there's already some things in the works for season 2 of IcoPod, which is what we will be referring to 1994 as the calendar year, of course.
Right. I will be eventually updating the IcoPod website to kind of separate them better and actually invest some time into categories and whatnot. So,
or you could give me the fucking password so I can do it.
Fuck. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, you're right. Or you can do that. Either way, myself or Austin, we will get that done. Be a little bit more user friendly and put some time into it. Because to be honest with you, I didn't even know if we would make it to a season 2. But we are going into season 2, and we're doing so pretty strongly with our motivation and interest. So that should be a bunch of fun. And like I was texting you earlier or the other day, in ring wise, I think 94 is substantially better than 93.
Even angle wise, really. You know, if you think about it.
Yeah, and the guys they highlight, they're obviously better and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I do have something for my personal life. A few weeks ago, I noted on here that I was in a relationship, and just like a Virgil push, that came to a screeching halt. That is over with, and I am now having a kindergarten crush, which is a line I stole from some guy on the Real World from like 2008. He had a kindergarten crush on some girl. I will never talk to her, at least not romantically, although she's joining a kickball league that I'm in.
Oh, she wants to kick your balls. All right.
Yeah, that will probably suck. But so that'll probably never happen. And I was thinking about like, hey, maybe if we had listeners support me, like they were to message us and say, hey, Bob, go for it. Maybe I'd build up the courage knowing that I got my IcoPod Maniacs brother, behind me as I attempt to court my own version of Miss Elizabeth. But I think even with an overwhelming amount of support, I would probably not do it. So I don't want to ruin anything. And by the way, she's like a neighbor, which I was unaware of until like a couple of weeks ago. So
yeah, and just to fill everybody in, kind of Bob's reading between the lines here from his mental notes of the situation. This potential Miss Elizabeth.
Oh yeah.
Also just happened to drop her apartment number to Bob. Like, hey, this is where I'm at.
So that means nothing because the context of it was like, "Oh, hey, you live at these apartments?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 1101." And then she was like, "Oh, I'm so and so." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's cool. Like you're right across the way from me." And she was like, "Yeah." As I'm saying it, that may sound like, "Hey, like I want you to know where I'm at," but like that, there's also a part of me where it's like that would be maybe creepy if I were to do anything like knocking on the door, like, "Hey, let's hang out." That'd be kind of weird.
Well, that's why you text her and be like, "Hey, how's it going over there? Having a good time over
Listen,
there?"
this is the first girl that has made me nervous in like 7 years.
Yeah, I think you're smitten.
Oh, I'm smitten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it sucks, but that's a little roundup here. 2019 for me blows already. So it was 2018. I went the whole year without doing anything. I mean, I was in a relationship, but we didn't do nothing. And then 2019 just starts off like, "Hey, man, Bob, you're gonna be smitten for a little while. You're gonna think about it and like hope that you build up courage to do something about it. And you're just not gonna ever do it, so it's okay."
Again, Bob is reading between the lines here in his mind. What he's trying to say is that in 2018, he wasn't able to fucking pound it out. So he's hoping that 2019 will turn around. Isn't that right, Bob?
Well, that was my choice.
Nah, okay, yeah.
I had women throwing themselves at me, and I was like, no. I'm basically the Bachelor. I'm Colton from The Bachelor this year. He's a virgin in real life, like legit. I am a born again virgin, and I actually had 30 girls over at my apartment earlier this year, and I had roses, and I would, pass them out. And then actually by the end of it, I said no to all of them.
They'd grab him by the wiener, and Bob would be like, "Not gonna happen, yeah, no way."
"Oh, no, not today, sister. No, oh, yeah. You ain't biting my Slim Jim.
Oh,
yeah,
my
dig it."
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. Here we are, episode 49 of Ico Pod. That was a little catch up of our personal lives. I'm sure over the next several weeks I will get more and more depressed about it, but that's okay.
That's what people are here for. That's what they want to hear about.
Yeah, they don't care about any of that. But
Who
eventually
gives a fuck?
this
Yeah.
will just turn into a podcast about my love life. Like we'll stop covering Raw in 94. And
The Bob Chiller.
That's pretty good.
There you go, dude.
All right, let's get this show on the road for real. Here, episode 49, IcoPod. We are at the tail end of November. As you will remember, Survivor Series took place on a Wednesday that year, so we're only on November 29th as we move forward. Just one observer note, kind of a minor detail. It's not really anything major going on. It's that Vince McMahon has been indicted on steroid charges. He's accused of distributing steroids to wrestlers, and the trial would then be set to take place in the spring of 1994. Not that big of a deal. Your owner of your company, indicted on a federal crime. It's not that big of a deal. Like, we're probably going to be okay.
Right. And it's not even like he potentially will face jail time.
No, right. It's just like hey, man, we have to go through this little phase and like tell you can't do that. And then you're just like, oh, all right. And then
and then you do it.
Again, like even 6 years later with HGH. Right. But that's, it's like, hey.
Like, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Your guy wrestlers will just grow tits and their balls will shrink. Like, whatever. That's the price you got to pay for TV fame.
Yeah, and they all will have, like, zits on their back. That's just incredibly unhealthy looking. So.
Yeah, it's not HD yet. That don't come around till 2010. We're good. 2009. No worries.
I mean, even when, like, Gene Snitsky was there, like, whew, you could tell. It was pretty bad.
No.
Okay, great. That's literally the only observer note. Obviously, it's a pretty big deal. I'm trying to.
So yeah, they're fucked.
Yeah, we're going under, brother. It's over. This will be season 2. Will be the last season of this.
Shit.
Some house show notes. I believe it's only one show. It's kind of a major one, I guess you could say. Madison Square Garden, November 27th, 1993. 12,600 people were in attendance. It's one of the higher attended ones thus far. The card featured the Head Shrinkers taking on the Smoking Guns, Tiger Jackson taking on Little Louie, Shawn Michaels squared off against Doink the Clown. Wow, that's a pretty long description of that match. WWF Tag Team Champions, the Quebecers, defending against the Steiner Brothers. WWF Intercontinental Champion Razor Ramon defending against Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Owen Hart was in singles action against Marty Jannetty.
Ooh.
And the main event saw WWF World Champion Yokozuna in a non-title casket match against The Undertaker.
Yeah, surprise there with that last one. Although, you know what? To be fair, that's a pretty solid show for a house show right around Thanksgiving time. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, reading through it, aside from the little person match, I was trying to think of to say dwarf or midget, but I went with little person. It was, it doesn't sound too bad. I mean, Doink the Clown and Sean, I'd probably be annoyed with that just because Doink's pissing me off.
Yeah.
But I think the good outweighs the bad here.
Are you on the Diesel train yet?
I think I am, because it's funny you mentioned that. So, like, the first showing that he had, I was like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, and I was like, no, fuck you out of this guy.
Yeah, but the second time he wrestles, like, here's the potential.
Whatever, Bob.
So I think I'm getting on there. But it's funny that you mentioned that, because I believe in one of the past episodes, fairly recent ones, we were talking about people that we had jumped off the bandwagon on.
Yeah.
And like, we couldn't really think of guys, we mentioned a few, but like Mike Campbell, our resident IcoPod historian. And by historian, I mean he remembers everything we fucking say.
That's good, because we don't.
Yeah, I know. Like, we could go one episode, say something, and then totally forget the next thing. Like, if you were to ask me the order of how I'd rank the pay-per-views this year, I'd probably switch it 9 times, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But no, Mike Campbell messaged me, and he was like, one of the, somebody that you guys have kind of jumped off the wagon with was the Smoking Guns.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a really fair point, that initially we're like, oh, this is great. It's a new team and all this stuff. And then within like 2 or 3, not even months, probably like weeks.
Oh, yeah, not even months.
It's like, that was, they kind of shitty. So.
Well, the whole thing with them is, it's just to kind of not go off on a tangent here, but as a side note, the thing with the Smoking Guns, I think, that killed them the most isn't even the gimmick. I think it was more or less the booking. They were treated as a footnote by the company, and you almost can't help but to feel that way, because that's basically what they're telling you. Like, hey, don't really worry about these guys. They're not going to be on TV a lot. They're never going to win matches. They were still, even with the highlighted matches that they got, they were still pretty green as far as, personality in the ring and crispness of the moves. But all in all, when they first came in, it's like, I want to like them, but they didn't let you.
I think for me, the first sign of knowing that these guys were kind of, I don't want to say dead in the water, but they weren't going to be elevated to a point where they probably should be, is when they lost to Money Incorporated before King of the Ring.
Yes. Because then
Yeah, because Money Incorporated is by far, by June of '93, is the team of the past.
And they're starting to be phased out. I mean, they're not being heavily featured. Really, Ted's disappears, basically. You know?
So, and that's exactly what I'm getting at. So if you can't beat a team that you're essentially phasing out of the company,
right?
Are we really going to be invested in it?
Exactly.
I also want to point out on this episode, and I guess I'm not going to really keep it a secret, because, you guys would find out eventually anyway. At the November 27th show, it was announced that a 30-man Royal Rumble match would be taking place at the next show on January 17th, 1994. And the match would feature the following men: Shawn Michaels, the Bushwhackers, Diesel, Doink the Clown, Bastion Booger, the Smoking Guns, Greg Valentine, Owen Hart, Bret Hart, the Heavenly Bodies, Scott Steiner, Ivan Putski, Scott Putski, IRS, Bob Backlund, Men on a Mission, Yo Bro, Virgil, the Head Shrinkers, Rick Martel, Adam Bomb, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, Crush, and Randy Savage. Now, you may be wondering, why am I pointing that out? Well, here on IcoPod, we are going to do one of the first live watches for the IcoPod series. Now, obviously, with bonus episodes that we will do bonus watches, but we're going to keep to the episode number, and we're going to be like, hey, we're going to go to Madison Square Garden on January 17th, and we're going to check out the show. So what we'll be doing is we'll be watching a copy of it, which I was able to legally obtain Wink. And we'll kind of give that perspective of watching like a live WWF house show. So if you were to have a copy of it or whatever, that'd be kind of neat. And it's not hard to find. It's actually on YouTube as of today. It's been on there for about 8 months, so I don't imagine it being taken down or anything. So yeah, that's the idea, is that we would go to it. There was actually a Raw also on January 17th. So then what we would do is the next week's episode, quote unquote, next week's episode would be the Raw.
Right. And the whole thing in here is to kind of test the waters, because unlike Bob, personally, I've never watched house show footage or cam footage of any promotion.
Yeah.
That isn't, from the promotion itself. So for me, it's definitely going to be very interesting, without the commentary, right in the crowd point of view type of thing. And plus, what better time than this time of year as we ramp up to the Royal Rumble, the start of 1994. I think it'll fit in nicely, and just break it up a little bit for the main listeners of the main series of this podcast here, but not to deviate totally. So it's not going to be a WCW show. It's not going to be a random year. It fits within the timeline, and realistically, if we were of age at the time of this house show, we probably would have potentially made the pilgrimage to the Mecca, as they say, of pro wrestling, and check this one out.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, a 30-man Royal Rumble at the Garden. I mean, it's not even a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of neat to check out.
Right.
And if it's something that we enjoy doing, I mean, we could potentially include future ones as well. Who knows? We'll see how it goes.
We'll get the feedback on that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It could be a one and done, or it could be a regular thing, assuming that footage for various shows obviously is readily available for us to do that.
Right.
But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. That should be what?
A couple of weeks.
I think 5 or 6 weeks. 5 or 6 more episodes in the future before we get anywhere near that. On to some syndication notes here. On the November 27th edition of Superstars, Owen Hart was interviewed, and he didn't want to address Bret Hart being his brother. He claims to have been in Bret's shadow his entire life, and that Bret didn't carry his weight at Survivor Series. So we're definitely teasing Owen Hart, going a little shade of gray here.
Yeah.
Yep. A little pissed off. Dink the Clown made his official debut on the 11/27 edition of Superstars. You're shaking your head no. I couldn't more agree with you. A tournament to crown a new WWF Women's Champion was announced to be taking place on Monday in Memphis, Tennessee.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That comes out of nowhere, though.
Yeah, for sure.
They have, I don't even know.
No mentions of anything.
Yeah, I don't even know the last time that they've had like a women's match.
Or really, other than Luna, I mean, Sherry has been nowhere to be found.
Oh, well, yeah, there's the Luna Sherry thing. But I'm talking about, like, when's the last time there was like a women's title match?
Yeah.
Definitely late 80s or so.
I say 87. No,
Yeah,
not
well,
even.
Probably 88.
Yeah.
Jumping Bomb Angels. That's like a tag team. It's been forever.
Yeah.
But the Luna Sherry stuff was quite enjoyable. So if they can maybe get the right people in there,
right,
maybe they could have a sleeper of a division. Ideally, though, they would need more than 2 or 3.
Well, you'd hope. I mean, I don't know how much I expect it, but it's kind of a lame if you're going to do a one-person show type of deal. Like, whatever.
Yeah. So we'll be curious to see where they're going with that over the next couple of weeks. Let's get right into this barn burner of an episode of Raw. It is Monday Night Raw. It's November 29th, 1993. We are live from White Plains, New York. We start off with a Raw opening video. Vince McMahon and Bobby Heenan welcome everyone to the program, and they talk about Survivor Series. Heenan didn't like Gorilla Monsoon trying to put his hands on him.
Yep.
And they mentioned that tonight, WWF Intercontinental Champion Razor Ramon will be in action against Diesel. Heenan talks about Michaels being the real champion. Ramon being kind of like a phony. He's not even the real champion. Ludwig Borga will be in action, as will Owen Hart. And also, we find out who the Wrestler of the Year will be. It's an interesting little thing thrown in there.
Yeah, and kind of sidebar really quick. So, Bob, if you're watching this in 1993, how do you feel about the Intercontinental title thing? Like, what camp are you in?
Well, I think Sean has valid points.
Yeah, and like as the heel, I don't like that.
I know it's always tough when a heel has valid points.
Fuck yeah, he
You
makes it
can't-
really hard.
You can't boo him. You can't be like, no, boo, you're wrong.
Yeah,
You never beat me. So yeah, but I don't know. The point though is for him to get booed, if that makes sense. It's like kind of the idea of like you're building up to a great match between these two guys that isn't really based on heat. It's more based on like which one's better.
right. And I think that's what it comes down to, because they definitely realize that there is Shawn Michaels fans in the crowd no matter what. Like he's already gained kind of a little bit of a following. I think it's so interesting because if you look at how Razor won the belt, it was almost kind of like paint by numbers for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you kind of think like, shit, is Razor kind of a bitch? Like, what did he beat the Quebecers and Martel, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, the way that he won wasn't
like impressive. Like, I'm not
it's not
impressed.
impressive, but it's not even like a badass way, quote unquote.
No, yeah.
Because like Razor Ramon, I think they're trying to make him come across like, oh, he's a tough guy. He's able to overcome the odds or whatever. And I guess to an extent he did.
I don't know.
But it was just a battle royal where he threw people out and then he beat.
Right. It's like a bullshit. Yeah.
He beat up a washed up Rick Martel. So.
Right. So it's like
he's definitely not like a strong champion.
No.
In terms of how he won it. Yeah.
No, and I feel like they're trying to position him like that. Like, oh, okay, whatever, Sean. Like you will, whatever. But it doesn't come off like that. It's like, well, shit, Shawn Michaels is kind of right. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny you mention that because the roles could essentially be reversed.
Yes.
And maybe even should be, because, I mean, Ramon really hasn't... Who has he beaten? Bastion Booger since he's been champion?
Right. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because like Michaels could be like, hey, man, I was defending and beating Marty Jannetty. I was defending and beating Mr. Perfect. Who have you beaten since you... Bastion Booger, the guy that picks his own nose and eats it?
Right.
Like
or Rick Martel, who's fucking 80 years old.
Right.
I don't know. It's a really weird dynamic. And actually being able to see the buildup of where they're going, because, most of us know where they're going. Mm-hmm. It's pretty interesting because I didn't think it was going to play out like it is. I wasn't expecting that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, where they're going is one of my favorite matches ever. And,
yeah.
And I never really knew, I guess, the context of the match, because when you're a young kid, a teenage kid, buying or renting VHS tapes, years after the fact, you don't know the progression of it really.
Right.
So now seeing it from the beginning might put that match in a different context for me.
And that's kind of where I'm at as well, because again, I haven't seen most of, these years of, especially Raws. Yeah. So to kind of have that backstory, I'm really looking forward to the match, because I think I'll have a better appreciation for it. To whereas before it's like, oh yeah, like that's a really important match in history, but knowing what I'll know now, I think it's going to really change my viewing.
Yeah, and that's something really interesting to pay attention to. So as we get closer to WrestleMania 10 and that build for the eventual match that we're assuming is going to happen, it will be interesting to see if where interest peaks upward or if it plateaus, and does the match deliver in context to how it was built up.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's an interesting way because it could potentially ruin it.
Yeah, you could be like,
"Oh fuck, better.
I wanted more than that,"
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you just take it in a vacuum of just the match, it's elevated so greatly, but then when you're watching it with such a thing, it could devalue it. So that's an interesting way of looking at it. Our first match of the evening is the Steiner brothers taking on Mike Corey and Reno Riggins. I'll give you a second here to guess how this potentially goes. Scott takes over Corey with a suplex, dropping him right on his neck early on into the match. Rick drives Riggins gut first into the corner, having him over his shoulder. So it was like a reverse running power slam into the turnbuckles. Scott then spikes Riggins with the Steiner screwdriver and then forces Corey to tag in. moments later, Scott would pin Corey after the Frankensteiner. Pretty simple, as basic little job match here for Steiner. Still enjoyable, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it was mostly Scott here. He basically kind of drove the car as Rick Steiner rode shotgun, sort of thing. I did want to make note that early in the match, Scotty and Mike start things off, and Mike complains that Scott's using tights to take him down, like pulling on his tights to get him down, so cheating, essentially.
Yeah.
And Steiner just yells to the ref, "That's bullshit!" You can see him say it, so it's fucking hilarious. I got the feeling, though, that with this match, the camera work, the arena itself, it felt very 80s. It felt very dated, just the visuals, I think. And like I said, I don't know if that's the arena, the way that they're doing the camera work here, but it felt very old school, which was kind of weird because really Raw hasn't felt like that for the most part. But I definitely felt that here. As far as the finishing stuff, it wasn't the greatest Frankensteiner we've seen.
No, he kind of like rolled over.
Yeah, he kind of rolled through it. But again, that's more or less, that's out of Scott's hands. It's the guy taking it is basically going to make that or break that. So, with that considered, it is what it is. I believe this is the match that Reno Riggins came out in some pretty cool little entrance gear. Like, he's definitely gotten his gear game put together, which is nice. He's really using them paychecks to putting them to good use, which is kind of cool to see. Even for an enhancement guy. Like, if I was an enhancement guy at the time, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting my fucking outfit together and making sure, like, at least if nothing else, because you're not getting mic time, you're not really being able to push your personality. You got to push it through somehow. You got to make sure people remember you for something. And like, he had like I believe it was like a sparkly green little robe, like a Macho Man robe almost, but it was like dice and casino chips and all this stuff. So it was kind of cool.
I think I'm looking it up right now. I'm pretty sure Reno had, so here's a little bit of information. He isn't just like a local job guy, which, I mean, I think we've noted it before, but I don't think we've ever really
No, he seems established.
Yeah, we haven't really like deep dive into him. So I'll just give him some credit right now. At this point, he's definitely working in the USWA.
Okay.
He had actually won the Southern Heavyweight Championship in August of '92. So there's probably a level of being relevant.
Yeah.
During this time, and I actually, within about 2 years of this, he decided to retire.
Oh wow!
It's in early '95, and then he came out in '97 for looks for a little while, and he was wrestling as recently as 2011.
Is he still alive, Reno Riggins?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
He but like one of my, I don't know if I want to say like earliest memories or anything, but I think one of the first times I was aware that he was more than just an enhancement guy was when he showed up in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which you hate and don't ever want to watch or anything, but
we'll do it for a bonus show one day.
Yeah, someday, eventually. But he like, it was weird. He was there to get like it seemed like a huge push. It was like January of '93 or so. And I kind of think that McMahon was probably like, hey man, not like steal him away in terms of like signing him or anything, but it seemed as if he was about to get a decent push with Cornette, and then he just got maybe like a more regular booking in WWF or something. It was a weird, I don't know, it was like a weird booking, because I feel like Cornette wouldn't usually book a guy strong and then 2 or 3 weeks later
let him
vanish.
go, kind of thing, yeah.
So that was an interesting thing to see happen at the time. But yeah, so that would explain why his like gear at this time is better than most of the other enhancement guys, because USWA has exposure. He probably was getting decent pay for whatever USWA was giving him, so he's not like just a scrub. So
yeah. I think it's a nice touch. I think he works well at the place he is in WWF. Is kind of the lead one of the lead enhancement guys, maybe. Right there with like a Scott Taylor or something like where he's pretty regularly booked on the shows, and you know that at least he'll be able to pull off a semi-decent match, where some guys you see him and it's like, this match better be less than a fucking minute long.
Well, it was he was probably in discussion for when we were talking about, if we were to make a jobber like stable.
Yeah, he definitely was.
He's definitely in the top couple of enhancement guys where he'll have a good 3-minute showing and help enhance the guy. So he's good at his job.
Right.
There's no doubt about that.
So you have that in there. I also noted that despite his gear, Reno had a horrible tan. It was definitely spray tan gimmick, so that was a little rough looking. But hey, nobody's perfect. Also on commentary, worth noting, Bobby is kind of talking some more pop culture this week. He talks about Lorena Bobbitt and said that she had decided to take up golf to really work on her slice. And I was that was a knee slapper for me. You can always count on Bobby to turn something, from pop culture, which would be kind of a nothing to any other commentator, into something.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that one.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because just recently that was on like 2020.
Oh, really? Like a documentary on it?
Yeah, they like interviewed him. Like, it's been 20 years since John Wayne Bobbitt had his dick chopped off. Let's talk to him. How you feeling?
He's done porn since?
I do. I think I do.
Yeah, they sewed his pecker back on and he started using it in dirty movies.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's fucking true.
I remember like hearing that, but I didn't. See, I'm afraid of like Wikipedia.
No, I've never watched it, but it's definitely true.
No,
it's definitely true.
John Wayne. Oh, so his name, it's not John Wayne. Is it John? It is John Wayne Bob. Okay. John. What has he done? Oh, he broke his neck in an accident in Buffalo in 2014. Did you know that?
Did they stitch that back together too?
I would hope they did more than that. He actually appears on Monday Night Raw too.
Oh my God, you shitting me?
No, in 5 years.
Oh, ouch! Talk about a fucking F-list celebrity.
Yeah,
there you go.
I know we're like 5 years away from it, but he's, I guess, involved in a segment with Val Venus, so that probably would explain why he was there
and shit like that. Probably.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, yeah. So Bobby makes that comment here. I believe that situation had happened a couple weeks before this episode or something like that. It was very fresh. So for Bobby to be making them comments, it's still like, holy shit. You know what I mean? So
okay. Hang on 1 minute. I don't mean to cut you off. So this guy I'm just reading more about John Wayne as you
Oh God.
So I'm just reading more about this, and I guess they appeared together on The Insider in May of 2009. And he said, I guess on the show, he apologized for the way that he treated her during their marriage, and he claimed that he still loved her because he continued to send her Valentine's Day cards and flowers. So, what?
Well, from what I understand,
what is even the context of that? I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, from what I understand, he was basically an abusive piece of shit to her. And following pretty much the outburst of chopping the man's penis off and throwing it out of the window on the highway, they admitted this woman to an insane asylum for a very short period of time.
What the fuck? Well, because all right, I knew.
And no, Vince Russo did not book this segment.
No. So I'm not laughing because I guess he like forcibly had sex with her.
Yeah, he was very abusive. Like, she claimed that he'd rape her and all this shit.
That's what I'm reading right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Okay, come on. This can't be real. Is this real quotes?
Oh, I don't know about quotes.
Well, here's I'm using Wikipedia, so consider the source. And I'm apologizing for this enormous sidebar, but this is just this is incredible. I guess on the day, she was like, he always has an orgasm and he doesn't wait for me to ever have one. He's selfish. Is that true? Like, is that?
I think it's a little drastic to go from he doesn't give me an orgasm to, yeah, I'm chopping his fucking dick off and throwing it out on fucking the highway.
I don't understand. This is just
okay, picture this, Bob. It's 1993.
He had his own band called the Severed Parts.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You're driving down the highway, Bob. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon. And all of a sudden a fucking severed dick hits your windshield.
Oh my God.
The fuck is going on here? What'd they do? They had the cop go back down the highway looking for the little dick rolling down the road to get it? Or did they give him somebody else's dick? I don't know. Either way, he's got a fucking sewn-on member, and he then turned a negative into a positive and used it for profit by showing it on dirty movies. So there you go. Lesson learned, kids. And then like I said, the woman spent a short time, again, I believe, in a cuckoo house for a little bit. Nobody really blamed them for doing that one. Because really, who gets so worked up they cut a man's dick off and throw it out the goddamn window on the highway? But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And for Bobby to kind of make reference to that and make a joke about it, I thought was pretty on the nose for 1993.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it was a very controversial news headline. So, as Bob's confused face looks onto Wikipedia right now.
I'm sorry. I'm just reading so much about. I guess I've never really looked into this.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Well, because they found her not guilty due to insanity caused by irresistible impulse.
Yeah, right. Well, that's
so she couldn't be held liable for it,
right? Because supposedly she had essentially lost her mind, and I believe after the trial, did she not spend some time?
She did 45 days.
Okay, so it's not as long as I thought, but still.
Yeah, and then she was released.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, so according to Bobby, she was working on her slice lately, which fucking A, it had to be a killer.
She should have been with Abdullah the Butcher. That would have been good.
Well, how do you think he got those cuts in his forehead?
Oh.
There you go.
That does it.
There you go.
Maybe she should have been with. Do you think she used Bruce the Barber Beefcake's shears to do it?
It had to be. Yeah.
That's the only way.
Had to be.
You know what Virgil would say, right? Hey, no, bro, my dick's too big, man. You can't cut all that off, bro.
Can't cut all that off.
Yeah, bro. Shit.
Holy shit! I'll break the scissors.
It needs a trim, bro, but you can't cut all of it off, man. Just never
sick of carrying this shit around. I wish somebody would cut this shit off. Fucking heavy.
It just regrows itself, bro.
Oh,
give it 72 hours, be like nothing even happened.
It's like a boa constrictor. Fucking A. Anyway, flying dicks on the highway aside here, I would say that the crowd was relatively kind of quiet, sitting on their hands early on in this show, and that was definitely obvious for this match. But again, it's a Steiner squash match. We've seen it a couple times at this point, so it was what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't an explosive start or anything, and I think they were probably going for that. Like, oh, the Steiners, they can get a crowd going a little bit. Kind of fell a little flat, so
or flaccid in this case.
That was a good one. A video promoting the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and they're trying to get
drama, the intrigue, the suspense. Yeah, pretty dramatic.
Yeah, they're trying to get people to buy the replay, and then they talk about Yokozuna not being able to splash Undertaker. So you tell us what happened, so why the hell are we gonna buy it? Yeah, and like the turnaround, like we've mentioned before on the video releases, it's like within 3 weeks you can just buy the damn thing.
Yeah, quick. So because they already have a copy of the VHS sitting on the desk of the commentary table when we come back to the arena. Yeah. So it's already being somewhat produced. Vince he of course says, one of my favorite highlights was the fear in Yokozuna's eyes when Undertaker sat up. So they're putting over Survivor Series here as a can't miss event, of course. Yeah. And then where do we go, Bob? They take us to Double J. Haha, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, that's right. It's a vignette promoting the country singer wannabe star, Jeff Jarrett. He's with Buddy Lee's cousin, and he wants a meeting with Buddy Lee.
Yeah.
Jarrett gets escorted out of the room, and the guy suggests that Jarrett keeps to just wrestling. Jarrett insults them while leaving the building, telling them that they will regret not having the meeting with him. There was like interaction with like the secretary girl like, very briefly, and then he goes in there, like immediately turned around and like sent out.
Yeah. So he brushes past the secretary. He goes into one office. It's kind of empty. He takes a quick left. There's a guy sitting in there on the desk. Guy immediately stands up from the desk. He's like, yeah, you were the wrestler that was here last week. Like, let's go, fucking buddy. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And it's funny to me to think that Jeff Jarrett is just continually pestering this fucking talent office. And they're like, they know, okay, you're the fucking wrestler guy. Get the fuck out of here. Like, stop fucking coming in here. He just continually does it.
Well, what makes it so great is that it shows that Jeff Jarrett is delusional.
Oh, yeah, it totally cracks the mold. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Because if he were to go in there and the agent guy were to be like, oh, yeah, Jeff Jarrett, sit down, whatever, I don't think there's much heat to that.
No.
But the fact that this guy is delusional.
Yeah.
And the people for the meetings were just like, no, dude, you fucking suck.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Like,
we're the wrestler. And he just thinks that he's so great.
Yeah.
He like cracks me up a little bit, and I think it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Like
it's definitely pretty funny. I really hope that they don't keep because almost in every vignette he's got like a little sidekick with him.
Yeah, I don't think he needs one.
I don't think he needs one. He doesn't need that comedy relief. You know what I mean? Because he had the driver, and then he's got Buddy Lee's cousin, and like all these.
He had the female too.
Yeah, the girl.
Jacqueline, Miss Texas. She was like part of it too.
So I really hope they kind of stray away from that, because I don't think he needs any of that stuff. But yeah, this was it was another pretty funny one here. This little vignette that they gave him.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well, and I'm hopeful that before the end of the year that he makes his debut.
Gotta be. Yeah, gotta be.
Because I think he's a guy that could have a big 94. Just judging by how many vignettes they've been giving him, it doesn't seem like it's somebody they wouldn't want to invest in.
Oh, you know what would be funny? Fucking perfect way to bring him in is that he's bragging that he's gonna play like the Dick Van Dyke fucking New Year's Eve. Like he's one of the acts. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, no, that's bullshit. Like it's either like a fucking bogus green screen or something like that. And it's fucking phony. And like he debuts on TV like that.
Or you could do like a running gag about it too. Like he could be like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna sing the national anthem for the Super Bowl."
Right.
You know, or like I'm the halftime show act. He goes to the stadium and they're just like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "I'm Jeff Jarrett. I'm here to."
Security's like pushing him, like, "No, dude, get out of here."
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny.
Where's your fucking ticket? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the nosebleeds are that way, sir.
Literally, it's a GA fucking ticket. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you talking about? You're standing room only. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that shit would be funny.
That'd be pretty good. We got a Lex Luger Ico Pro ad. It's like one of the originals, not anything that they like a newer one that they've done.
Yeah, with Lex. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a WWF figures ad with Randy Savage. The audacity of IRS. The lightning quick arms of Virgil.
The madness of the Macho Man.
We go to our second match of the evening. It is WWF Intercontinental Champion Razor Ramon taking on Big Daddy Cool Diesel. It's kind of a slow start with some shoving and some mat wrestling between these two. Not the expected way for this one to start off. Diesel focuses his attack on Ramon's lower back with forearms. He controls the match with a side slam for a 2 count. And he puts a bear hug on Ramon for a brief time. Ramon comes off the ropes and is met with a big boot followed by snake eyes. Ramon gets out of a bear hug and hits a middle rope bulldog for another 2 count. Ramon is able to scoop slam Diesel and he signals for the Razor's Edge. But Shawn Michaels slides into the ring and super kicks Ramon. That causes a disqualification. Michaels goes to the floor and he grabs the Intercontinental Championship and tries to pile drive Ramon onto the belt. However, 1-2-3 Kid runs out and he comes off the top rope to take Michaels out for a save. So they run off the heels. They're standing tall. Michaels is pissed off, as is Diesel. The match was like a little boring. It was decent for what it was, and it clearly is setting up maybe a tag match or something between these four, or an angle involving all these four guys. I don't know. So that's intriguing, but the match itself was pretty boring and not anything all exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you for the most part. Again, the crowd was super quiet here. It's almost like they could give a fuck. It seemed like they didn't care. The beginning of the match was definitely to really try and promote Diesel's power, because out of, the lockups and he'd be pushing Ramon off, pushing Ramon to the floor. They were really trying to tell the story of, hey, Diesel's a strong motherfucker. So, you had that kind of going in the beginning. It's where like the bear hugs and shit come in, is where people start checking out. Although Diesel was able to hit a pretty good big boot on Razor that caught him right under the chin and kind of bounced him when he hit it. Yeah. So that looked pretty good. I don't know if that was necessarily supposed to happen like that, but that was notable for me. Razor had very little offense in this match, and it was almost like Razor was looking a little too diminished. I didn't think that Diesel should have been getting as much as he did especially on the IC, quote unquote, IC champion. So, there was kind of that as a little bit of an undertone for me in this match. The whole finish, and first of all, I totally doubted to see a Razor's Edge on Diesel. Personally, I didn't really buy that.
There was no way.
Yeah, there was no way. So,
even in the context of the story of the match, I mean, he's working over his lower back.
Exactly. Yeah, and Diesel's basically destroying him the whole match. So, you know what I mean? There's no way that was going to kind of fly. All of a sudden, though, you see a figure. He's in the black leather jacket, cowboy boots, comes in, attacks Razor, ends up being HBK. Very good. And the whole pile driver thing onto the belt, I hated that Sean readjusted his positioning. He made it look like Razor was trying to struggle out of the pile driver, but it was a very obvious, let me turn this way to, kind of catch 1-2-3 Kid, coming off the crossbody. But other than that, it's an interesting foursome. You have Razor, 1-2-3 Kid, Sean, and Diesel. Kind of all young guys, hungry guys. So, that whatever they end up doing, whether it's a tag match next week or something at the, Royal Rumble, I'm definitely intrigued. I'm interested. I don't know. I'm still not a huge fan of the 1-2-3 Kid Razor Ramon pairing. I'm still not really over the moon about that, because again, it goes against their storyline. But it is what it is. I'll take what we could get. It was a little bit hokey, but okay. I'm looking forward to the coming weeks and what comes out of this little interaction.
It's the birth of the clique.
Yeah, realistically, yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it's been decades now, but a lot of wrestlers have always said that these four guys would only want to work with each other.
All right, friends want to work with friends. Friends want to put over friends. You know what I mean? And you could definitely see the seedlings. I'd even say going back a couple of months. But yeah, this is like pretty much, at this point.
Yep. And as we get into 94, it's incredibly obvious, because I'm pretty sure like the secondary title just bounces between that group of guys.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it was a good observation about how Michaels repositioned himself and stuff like that, because he's certainly dead. He made sure to be in the right spot for 1-2-3 Kid, taking away from the move and stuff like that. I would kind of wish that he would just hit the pile driver on the belt.
Oh, I know for sure. Well, what's the harm in that? Razor already got his ass beat the whole match. It's not like you're going to devalue him.
Yeah, maybe a pile driver onto a belt is too violent.
Like too much. I mean, I get it. Yeah, I get it, but whatever.
Yeah. We go to our third match of the evening. It's Bam Bam Bigelow taking on John Crystal. And one of the first things that I have noted here is that Luna Vachon has to be a special kind of taste for a man.
Why, you're not a fan?
I mean, I'm a fan of her as a performer, but like attractive level, I mean, that's just not there.
So you mean you're not Bobby Heenan in the sense that he likes seeing a good woman's scalp?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I just don't see it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
The fans throughout the match are chanting that they want Doink. Which, I mean, I don't. Bigelow sends Crystal into the corner, but Crystal flies under the ropes and falls to the floor. Bigelow then wins the match with a kick to the side of the head, or also known as an enziguri. Was it. That was the match. For me, and we've said this again. We've said this numerous times. Bam Bam Bigelow has fallen off a cliff. They are putting him with
direction.
Doink.
He's got no direction.
The direction's with fucking Doink, and it's like, no. Like, why are you sacrificing a guy like Bigelow to feud with a comedy fucking clown? Well, I don't get it.
It's like Bigelow serving prison time, and he's just got a fucking one of them big chains around his ankle with a big fucking ball weight at the end.
Yeah,
like he can't escape it, and it sucks because he's definitely, I think worth more than that at this point. And good for him. He ends up, going elsewhere, not too far from here. But regardless, for this match specifically, I don't know why, but I thought Bam Bam kind of looked like he gained some more weight. He was looking a little bit heavier here.
He's probably depressed.
Yeah, for this live Raw, he was looking a little bit heavier. And I was just ready for him to kind of tear up this enhancement guy. And we really didn't get that. He was like uninspired. He's walking around. It was like a casual beating. He's walking around. He'll slam him. No, he'll yell at the crowd. Casually slam the guy again. It was just like you're walking and talking. And for me, for a big guy, for an enhancement match, I want a guy that's in there that knows he doesn't have to be vicious because he's a fucking monster, but does it anyway. Like, I know I don't have to beat the hell out of this guy, but I'm going to because I want to. Right. Even with Mr. Hughes, I mean, his enhancement matches were boring, but at least he fucking wanted to kill the guy every time. And he'd pull him out of the pin and just beat the shit out of him. I mean, it got redundant after a while, but I think that's a fair comparison. I mean, it's like, you're a big guy. I don't think you should just coast on that. And I don't know if they're telling him to do that or if Bam Bam's just like, well, fuck it. You want an enhancement match? Here you go. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it personally. I think that I don't think it helped him in the least, this win. I mean, what's he get out of that? Not much. If anything, it comes off as a negative because it comes off as he doesn't give a fuck about what he's doing. Not a fan. I didn't like this.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it either. Obviously, it was just flat, and like you said, it doesn't have the intensity. If he just had the intensity of a guy that, that just wanted to beat somebody up, it would probably come across better. I don't think he's invested into the angle, and that's probably impacting his work for it. Honestly,
well, even think back to just a couple of months ago where his enhancement matches he was treating as actual matches. Like, he'd fucking whip out the headbutt. He'd be whipping them around. He was doing shit.
Well, he kind of had a bigger angle with Tatanka too, so he probably felt like he had to live up,
improve himself and stuff like that.
And now he's fighting a fucking clown,
and not even the original clown at that.
Yeah, this is definitely like Ray Apollo or whoever it is now. Yeah, it's not Bourne. So.
No, because he was done when?
Before Survivor Series.
Right. Because the Doink at Survivor Series was not Matt.
No, yeah, that was not him at all.
So,
well, speaking of Doink, we go to footage from Wrestling Challenge that occurred this past week, and he had an interaction with Santa Claus. Santa had a present for him. Mind you, I believe the story is that there can only be one Doink. Like Jack Tunney has said, hey, enough of these shenanigans. You can't have 4 or 5, just one. So Santa comes into the ring. He has a sack. And mind you, he's dragging the sack on the mat. And he reveals Dink, a midget clown. again, mind you, he was dragging the sack on the ground prior to doing. I just thought that was funny, knowing that there is somebody in there. He's just whatever. It's no big deal. So he introduces Doink to Dink, and he introduces Dink to Doink, and then Doink's just like, "Oh, what is this? Huh? It's like a mini Doink. It's like a Dink. Oh my god, this is great." They like joke around and have some fun because they're clowns, and that's what they do. And I just said, "Oh, brother," because this is going to suck for the next like year and a half.
Here's the thing.
Just a forewarning.
Here's the thing. I don't know if, the booking committee at this point thinks that Doink is working. Like, do they think that this is working? Because if they don't, why in the fuck are we adding another half a Doink to the fucking equation here?
I don't know, man. It has to be like a merchandise thing. Maybe Doink's a good merchandise mover or something. I don't know.
Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Because honestly,
who's doing this?
When Bourne leaves, I would just have killed off the character.
That's it. It's done. It's
Yeah.
fucking done.
Yeah.
Just stop. And the best part about this little segment, just to kind of throw the heat on somebody else here, JR gave Dink's name away before he was supposed to know who it was. Because as soon as Dink comes out of the bag, JR goes, "Oh, look, it's a little Dink, Doink. It's a little Doink." And then Doink gets on the mic and is like, "Oh, this is Dink the Clown."
Oh, so he like misspoke and gave it away.
So he's like gives away the name before they know the name, which I thought was pretty funny. Another minor little detail, but
yeah.
It just added to the whole ridiculousness of it. And the fact that Dink comes from Santa Claus, like, is that like one of his elves that he fucking just dressed up in clown? He was like, "Here's your fucking gig now, get out there."
Yeah, it's probably an elf that didn't fully develop. So
Yeah,
he had to,
what
ship
the
it off.
And why is fucking Santa Claus here? It's the 29th of November.
Yeah. Right.
You're a little fucking early, buddy. Cookies aren't even out yet, you fat son of a bitch.
And you gotta think when they taped this, it was probably like early November.
Yeah, early November. It's just, dude,
it's gonna suck, man.
What happened here? Fucking Doink the Clown, evil Doink the Clown, fucking ring general, that quiet fucking psychopath now is a Papa Doink. And it's like, he's got his little buddy with him. And they laugh and do stupid shit and fucking ride around on tricycles and suck each other off. Like, I don't know what they do, but it's fucking stupid. The character has rapidly declined in stock at this point. Nobody's going to take, personally, I don't think anybody's going to take Doink seriously as even a fucking mid-card championship contender. To whereas when Doink fucking debuted, put the belt on this son of a bitch.
Well, I was never that far.
That was me. I wanted Doink and Brett for the fucking belt. And
they did that on the house shows. Weren't you like, "Oh, I don't know if I like that"?
Well, it was too early.
Oh.
It was too early. But no, I could have seen them build to that. But when he first came, I was like, that's where I want them to go. But to then be here, like, holy shit, man. This ain't even the same. It's not even in the same ballpark of where we were at. We've totally shifted. Shifted.
Yeah, for me, this is like the ultimate change of the channel.
Yes.
Like this Doink and like the Bushwhackers, like if I had the chance to do, I would just be like, "No, we're gonna change the channel."
Yep.
What else is on?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was brutal. And it's gonna be brutal for the next, like I said, for the next year and a half of like, that whenever the fuck Doink the Clown is on. It's probably going to be miserable. So be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Go back to the arena, and Vince McMahon is in the ring, and he is ready to present the Wrestler of the Year award.
Yo, fuck that trophy. Fuck that dollar store fucking
No,
Tinket
they-
trophy,
They
dude.
probably got it at Kmart or something.
That
They didn't go
thing-
to Dollar General or nothing.
It's definitely plastic that they spray painted gold.
Probably.
Like, come on.
They were in cost cutting, mindset now.
Well, you could fucking tell.
Yeah, they couldn't just
Shit look horrible.
do all this stuff. They can't get like actual gold or
No.
metal.
No, that wasn't even like the fucking soccer trophies you get. Like, it ain't
No,
even that
no.
shit.
No, yeah. It
That's fucking PVC pipe with gold spray paint over it. Holy shit, man. What the fuck?
all the wrestlers want it, though, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah. It's highly coveted.
He notes that the fans voted for the award. And
Sure they did.
after a little bit of a build-up here, he introduces the runner-up for the award. And the runner-up for the Wrestler of the Year award is Lex Luger. So Luger, who is, again, a loser, he's runner-up. He lost. Luger comes out. He's high-fiving people. He's all happy. He's smiling. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah. And Bobby goes, "Oh, can't wait for this guy to put a sentence together."
yeah, he did.
It's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, Luger thanks everyone that voted for him, which I want to point out was not enough. And he introduces the man who actually won the award. And I kind of thought it was funny that Bobby Heenan, throughout the course of this, thought that he was going to be announced as the winner.
Yeah, so he stands from the table. He's like fixing his jacket. He's like all prepared to accept the award in the ring.
Yeah. And at that point, Lex Luger introduces Bret the Hitman Hart. And Bret Hart comes out. Bobby Heenan's like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
what do you mean?
this is bullshit.
Yeah, and he sits down at the announcer's table like, this can't be right. McMahon puts over Hart for winning the award, and then Hart talks about the fans having never stopped giving up on him. He knows that there's still a lot of things for him to accomplish in the company, and he's going to do everything in his power to win back the WWF World Championship. He dedicates the trophy to the people who have never given up on him, his friends that have stood by him. He especially dedicates the trophy to his family, his wife, and 4 kids at home. He like poses with McMahon and everything. Now, I just want to, watching this whole thing, I thought it was just kind of ludicrous because July 4th, 1993, they are making Lex Luger your next Hulk Hogan, essentially. He's trying to be the next big baby face. Loses at SummerSlam by count out. They have a freaking hoo-ah, rah, yeah, Luger did it. Woo. And they do a Wrestle of the Year award. Now, I know they want to probably keep the integrity of it. But if I am a promoter trying to promote my next ideally big star, I'm probably going to give him the award. Even if the fans legitimately were to vote for someone else, I'm not investing the type of money I've invested on Lex Luger on anybody else. So as a viewer, if I'm watching this, what I'm taking from it is that Lex Luger is like maybe the second most liked person in the WWF. Bret Hart is the number one guy. Bret Hart is the number one guy that I should be rooting for against Yokozuna, which kind of contradicts everything that they've been doing for the last 5 months or so and trying to elevate Luger to get to that point. So when we think about, the rise and fall, so to speak, of Lex Luger, this has got to be a major fixture of that story that he didn't even win the Wrestler of the Year award. Voted by, mind you, again, I'm going to point out again for the last time, it's voted on by the fans. What are we doing, Austin?
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
Really? Okay. Well, this should be a fun little discussion.
Well, for me, like this Superstar of the Year thing, first of all, it's a pimple on a pig's ass. Like, who gives a fuck about this, right?
Bret Hart does.
Oh, it's like a canned promo. He doesn't give a shit.
Bret Hart cares. He dedicated it to his family.
Which Bobby Heenan chuckled about, by the way, when he said that. You can hear him chuckling on the mic. But yes, so for me, I think if nothing else, I think they would have gone with Luger, but they didn't for just a couple of reasons. And I would say one of the main ones is probably to fuel the Owen and Bret thing. Like, this is definitely going to be jet fuel for that feud. It's just one more thing that Owen has to kind of attack. So I see, where they might be going with that. Whereas, realistically, they probably should have had it be, oh, it was so close, you know what I mean? But Lex Luger just squeezed it out over Bret Hart. Bret Hart gives him the respect to kind of co-sign on him. Like, yeah, Luger's a good wrestler. You should like him. Realistically, they probably should have went that way, but I think where the booking is now, A, they realized that Lex was a flop. They realize it. And B, again, to try to fuel this upcoming feud, I think it makes sense. Plus, when you look at it, and especially going into 94, there's already groundwork. WrestleMania's probably at least got a skeleton outline at this point. I don't think Luger's in that skeleton as much as they originally had thought. So really, if you give it to Luger in 93, let's hypothetically say in 94, he really doesn't do shit. I mean, it's a wash at that point. So I'm going to disagree in saying that this is, a major kind of blow to Lex Luger, because at this point, it's already well known, where he's at. I don't think this necessarily would have helped him tremendously with the current booking situation, because then you got to think, well, fans, are they going to think that it is canned at that point? Are they going to think that it was rigged? I don't know. I think this was more or less a minor thing. Let's close out the year. Here you go, Bret. We know we're going to be going with you for 94. And we kind of know where Luger's at, and we kind of know that Owen needs just a couple more things to bitch about. So let's go with that and kind of forget about this whole Lex Luger thing. Like, oh, yeah, cool. Whatever. That's kind of how I took it.
See, I don't think I would have sacrificed, I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't know if I would have sacrificed my potential top babyface for technically a secondary feud.
Right. No, and I get that. I
mean, I definitely see where you're saying with like added fuel to the Owen Hart.
Well, it's easy. Right? That's easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Like that I understand. But then like the skeleton thing, like where Luger maybe would be positioned on the card when you were saying the skeleton outline of it. Do you think at this point in time they don't have him like in the world title match?
No.
So what would you think it'd be, Yoko Bret again?
It's gotta be the rematch.
Okay.
Yeah. I think at this point they know.
So then where would you put Luger?
He's going to be middle of the road, special feature singles match. I don't even think he's fighting for a title.
You think it'd be him and Borga or something at WrestleMania?
Yeah, you could do him and Borga. Maybe you build up, who knows, maybe Bomb. You build up Bomb, have him go, fight Bomb. I think the major plans for Lex Luger have come and gone. And it was a quick window. Like it wasn't what they thought. I think they knew at this point that, that ship has kind of sailed.
See, I disagree, because if Bret was the guy for WrestleMania 10 at this point, I don't think they would have inserted him into a feud with Owen.
I don't think they intended it to go all the way to WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine they would have a brother feud and have it just last till like Royal Rumble or something.
Yeah, but with Owen's not even really established. It's not
right. Well, I'm saying that's his main feud, and we're assuming they're not going to wrestle at Royal Rumble.
Well, right.
Because it's right around the corner. You know what I mean? So, I guess the assumption would be that they would meet at WrestleMania 10, given the facts that we have right now.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think, because like Luger doesn't have, aside from Borga, he doesn't have a concrete feud. Because I mean, technically, you could go in as thinking, okay, well, maybe it'll be Yoko and Taker at Mania. Although it could be a match at Royal Rumble too. Like who knows?
Well, let me ask you this: do you think at this point they are planning on Luger winning the Royal Rumble?
I would have to think so.
See, I would disagree. I don't
Who do you
feel
think? Who do you think the favorite would be? Brett?
I don't know if it would be Brett either. I almost feel like Brett shouldn't be in the Royal Rumble match.
Right.
I almost feel like maybe him and Owen should have a featured match at Royal Rumble.
Well, given the contest right now, I would, if it's not WrestleMania 10, if you're looking to drag it out to then, they would have to have their match at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's how I would take it.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it like that. But
Yeah.
for Lex to be, I don't see Lex winning the Royal Rumble at this point.
I just think it makes, given the story of how he lost to Yokozuna, he can never get a title shot again. So obviously the way to get that for sure is to win the Royal Rumble, which is, I guess, the one loophole of the contract, is to win it, and then he capitalizes off that. That would seem to be the story that would tie the bow, so to speak. So for me, yeah, I would have to think he's the favorite to win the Royal Rumble, and having this non-important award, telling your fans, hey, everybody else sees him as the number 2 behind Bret Hart. It's like that. It's kind of like a Hogan Warrior complex, in which that Bret is kind of like the Hogan, in terms of maybe popularity.
Not
to the extreme level. And then Luger would be the equivalent of Warrior, but even Warrior back then is probably more popular than Luger.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So on a lesser scale, I'm using that comparison.
I feel like they've kind of booked themselves into a corner. I mean, because so let's hypothetically say if Brett's not in the Rumble, he's fighting Owen at the Rumble, and Luger doesn't win. Where are we going? Who's winning the Royal Rumble? Undertaker?
Well, Yokozuna would have to have a title match at the Royal Rumble. That's usually how it works.
Right.
So, by all accounts, I would assume Yoko would be wrestling Undertaker. He would seem to be the next. Yeah. Right. He would seemingly be the next in line. That's a good question, though. If you don't have Luger win it, and you have Brett and Owen Russell at Royal Rumble, who do you have win it? Well, let's say, and this is assuming that we're doing Razor Shawn too at Rumble, right?
I don't know. Are we going to get the tag match?
Right, or the tag. Okay, right. Because I mean, you could do like, how quickly Luger turned face or whatever. You could do it again, and this time with Diesel. Have Diesel win the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And go on against Yokozuna.
Well, I was thinking him. So what if Diesel wins and Undertaker beats Yokozuna for the fucking belt?
Then you do Diesel Taker at Mania.
At WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That might be I mean, I think realistically, Diesel to do that is probably too soon.
Oh, I think it's too. But as far as like a heel, for a heel to win, they could do something. Would
you have Diesel win the belt at WrestleMania?
You got it
in that situation.
If you're gonna do it, you got to.
So you're presenting him as a heel still, with Taker winning.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're gonna hot shot him like that, you got to go all the way, because look what happened. They didn't go all the way with Lex, and it's fucking a shitstorm.
You know what? You know what they probably should do?
What?
Now entering the Royal Rumble at number 30, it's Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God.
It's Hogan Yokozuna Part 3.
WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Don't count it out.
That could happen. Who knows?
Don't count it out.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, if you don't have Luger win, if you were to have Luger not win the Royal Rumble,
I just don't see it at this point.
Right. But I'm saying, like, I feel like if you don't have him win it,
right,
and he's like the clear favorite, like Brett's not in it,
right?
Brett is he's fighting Owen or what have you.
Sure.
He does not win. He's done. He's done.
I think he already is.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's like done now. But like if he doesn't win the Royal Rumble, he's done.
Yeah.
Right. You can't, like, there's no way to come back from that, because he's failed too many times. So I think realistically, he would need to win. And I think like coming in at an early number, like within the top 10, like coming in like number 8 or something and just plowing through everybody.
Or what you do is you have him be the last eliminated by a young guy, say I don't know, a Diesel or some young heel, right, who hasn't been there for long or is unproven.
Yeah.
And you have him pretty much get on a live mic after the Royal Rumble and say, you know what, I'm sick of being the nice guy. Look at where it's got me. This isn't the real me. Those interviews weren't the real me.
Look what you fans did for me. I keep losing.
Yeah.
When I cared about myself, I was a winner.
Right. The most important person I should have been looking out for this whole time was me. That's how I got to the WWF in the first place.
Yeah, that's the way you salvage it.
Well, exactly. You know, but I think
it goes back to narcissists. I think you have a lot more potential growth with it.
Well, maybe not even to that extreme. Maybe he doesn't go back to the narcissist, but he's a heel. And he plays off the fact that, well, he had and we've talked about this before, but he had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand essentially for a couple of months. B, he got the company to spend all this money and he got to travel around the country living pretty good. He didn't have to be on no cramped fucking airplane. He had his own private bus. So he's got one over on the company. And he's obviously, he's got a chip on his shoulder at that point. I don't know. I think for Luger at this point, I think the booking team knows, hey, this guy is not what we thought he was. We've invested all this money. We're not going to invest any more money on this fucker. Let's go with the tried and true. We know Brett works for the fans. We know he'll deliver matches. We can kind of count on him to get angles over. He's relatively believable compared to Lex Luger. Let's just roll with it, kind of thing. And that's what this felt like to me. That felt like, we're sorry. We were wrong. You were right. We're sorry.
I figured out who I would have win the Royal Rumble.
Oh.
Scott Steiner.
Oh, fuck, man.
Put it on him, baby. Have him win the Royal Rumble.
And beat Yoko at WrestleMania?
Fucking A. Let's do it.
Holy shit.
Let's do it.
Oh, my gosh. That'd be nuts.
I would say, why not, man? He's young. He's jacked.
You would believe it. You would believe you would believe it.
Fuck yeah. And the matches that he could have with like a Bret Hart.
Right.
Like, come on. I'm sure him and Luger, if they were to go, could have something decent.
A decent match, yeah.
Yeah. But like Steiner and Ramon, Steiner and Michaels.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Adam Bomb, the agility aspect of that.
Yeah.
Owen Hart, if you were to go, stay a top heel or something.
Well, and especially if they're going to work towards the younger crowd, that would make total sense. To whereas you do, you stick with Yoko. Yoko's already been around for a couple of years at that point. He's kind of been through the ringer, so to speak. Scott Steiner, everything's fresh. Every feud is fresh. Every defense is fresh. You know what I mean? If you're going that way, fucking A, I would buy into it. I'm a huge
Scott Steiner. I'm a huge Scott Steiner mark. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, same here.
It just makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, I believe me. I'd be down for that.
As you were describing everything there, I was like just searching my brain. I've mentioned it numerous times before on this. I think it was even the '93 Royal Rumble. I was like, just have fucking Scott Steiner win, because they had mentioned on Bruce Pritchard's thing, like, oh, we thought about it or whatever. I would have just fucking done it.
Well, say they don't go to that extreme. Why isn't Scott Steiner fighting Shawn Michaels for the fucking IC belt? That little scrawny prick. Yeah. Have him get on the mic and be like, you want to see a real champion? My arm weighs as much as Shawn Michaels does.
Right.
I'll show you who the fucking real champion is. I'll drop him right on his neck and take his belt away.
Well, so here's an interesting thing we could talk about. So let's say Shawn Michaels weren't to have been suspended, right? And he's still the Intercontinental champion. You could do that, him and Scott. And then in the '94 Royal Rumble, Razor Ramon could win it, because he's obviously become really quite popular.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he's certainly on the rise. Why not have him win it? Have him win the title in New York at Madison Square Garden.
Against who? Yoko?
I'd go Yoko still, yeah.
That'd be interesting. So your card for Mania, let's say, is going to be what? You're going to do Razor, Yoko on top.
In that context, yeah, it'd be Razor, Yoko on top.
Middle title, you're going Scott and Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Is Owen and Brett fighting on that show, or we assume their feud has already kind of cooled off since Royal Rumble?
I mean, it depends on. I don't know. I think it might depend. I might not do Brett and Owen there. I might do Brett Lawler in a cage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like an I quit cage match or something. Because if Lawler were, I'm assuming Lawler would be back at that time or around that time. To do that.
Yeah.
Between those two.
No, for sure.
Because let's say, so like Brett would ideally win at the Rumble to kind of justify that big of a match. Owen could work with like 1, 2, 3 kid or something. Have like a quick exhibition, like a fun 8 to 10 minute match.
Yep, get a good win under his belt. Yep.
Yeah, and then you can dedicate the summer to him.
Right.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Aker could just like kill Borga or something.
Right. Yeah, you could build off that from Survivor Series if you needed to.
Yeah.
Or even Bomb Taker.
Bomb Taker. Yeah, they've done it on the house shows quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely avenues, but I think between Brett and Luger, they've kind of painted themselves into a corner. You know, as far as who the number one guy is going to be going into 94. I think they know. I think the fans know. It's just a matter of getting there, and I think that's going to be a little messy.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, I'd be rooting for Brett.
Exactly.
But in this context, as a promoter, I'd be like, no, I got to make Luger look like he's the guy. Because you're telling the fans that our fan base is not saying that Luger's the guy. You guys are still buying into Brett, so you're diminishing him. And again, like we're kind of going around in circle here, but about how you're putting emphasis on potentially the secondary feud with Owen. So
I don't know. I think they've jumped off the Luger train, and it has to be that case because he's just taken the L way too many times at this point. If they were so sold on Lex Luger, he should have won the fucking belt.
Yeah, he should never have won by count out.
Right.
That was the worst.
He won the championship.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go. And then to not only flub that, but flub a couple of other smaller things on the way through. It's just, they know. They have to know at this point that it's not going to be profitable with Lex.
So here's another thing. I guess we're kind of dedicating quite a bit to this. If Luger were to win at SummerSlam, traditionally, I think aside from the first two, or no, the first 3 WrestleManias, the heavyweight face, but like Savage at 6, he's a heel.
Mm-hmm.
4, it was vacant.
Right.
7, Slaughter was champion. And then at 8, Flair was.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9, obviously, Hart was as well. So you had a heel going. So when I say traditionally, that this is even fast forwarding. Usually the heel is a champion at the event and the face is chasing.
Yeah.
So are they thinking that you put the belt on Luger? Well, you don't want to have the heel chasing after Luger. The money is Luger chasing the heel. So if he were to win at SummerSlam, he might then have to turn around and lose the belt to someone else in a quick turnaround and then chase after him to WrestleMania. Maybe they didn't want to we just switched the belt 3 or 4 times in 3 months.
Yeah.
Because like that back then, that never happened.
Right.
In more modern sense, that's happened dozens of times, hundreds of times probably.
Unless you don't. Maybe you don't. You make it a a friendly competition and you say, well, Brett thinks he's the best wrestler in the WWF. What do you think, Lex? Well, of course, I think I'm the best wrestler in the WWF.
Well, knowing Lex, he'd be a moron and be like, yeah, no, Brett's better than me. He's a better wrestler. You know, his dad didn't force
I was just going to say it.
Like social weirdness. Like, you know, Brett was able to talk to girls on his own and like he didn't have to choose between football or Corez. So,
I was just going to start it.
Brett had friends. I didn't. I think he had a girlfriend in high school. I never did.
I was too scared to ask a girl out.
I played in the NFL, even though I never played it down. Fuck you, Luger.
Never did steroids.
Never did steroids, yeah. Only when I was hurt. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I don't know. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, so basically what we're getting out of that segment is that it has provided more questions than any answers for us.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Let's go into some footage from Survivor Series where Owen Hart was eliminated after colliding with Bret Hart on the apron. They also show the confrontation that happened after the match where Owen yanked him down and was like, what the hell, man? What are you doing? Again, when you watch the pay-per-view, Bret certainly waits for the moment to start crossing the ring to essentially screw over his brother. There's another video promoting Survivor Series replay. It's so amazing that you can't miss it twice. But just wait to buy the VHS. That way you can watch it whenever you want. The fourth match of the evening is Owen Hart against Chris Duffy. Now, I want to point out, Owen Hart comes out acting like he's a babyface. Certainly not getting a strong reaction with it.
Right, and he's also got the same gear on he had on at Survivor Series, so it's like the Bret Hart but the shorts version.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like as if he's in denial about his role, and I like that. Like, well, they wouldn't be booing me because you know what happened wasn't really his fault or something like that. So I kind of like that layer of it. Like, yeah, you guys are gonna like me because I'm Owen Hart. Like, whatever. There are certainly people booing him. You can vote. You can hear that. Before the match, Owen gives his glasses to a teenage girl in the front row, and she freaks out.
I'm pretty sure she had special needs.
She did.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't get that.
I mean, I don't know. I just thought visually, and she was kind of close to the front row. I don't know. That's what I took as it, but
yeah, I mean, I just because usually he like when Bret does it, it's like a 3-year-old kid who doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, right.
Owen went like right to a teenage girl. So, I mean, I'm not trying to read in between the lines there or anything, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting that he chose like somebody that was aware of what was going on.
And then Lawler was like, "Hey, back off my woman."
See, I was gonna go with a Lawler joke and be like, "Well, Lawler already crowned her, so you know."
Oh, holy shit!
Hey, Lawler, you can do that opening for IcoPod any moment now.
Okay, come on.
Owen delivers a spinning heel kick early on. Heenan says that there was a rumor that Owen was left at a doorstep 8 times. Like, come on. What the fuck?
Oh, man.
It's also announced that Shawn Michaels has challenged 1-2-3 Kid to a fight. The fans are chanting that they want Bret Hart instead of Owen.
Yeah, they came up with the O and kind of like the Irwin.
Yeah, like the Irwin thing.
Kind of funny. Like I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. Owen kicks Duffy to the floor and he hits a slingshot crossbody to the outside. Owen continues with a missile drop kick and then finishes Duffy off with the sharpshooter. I just want to say this right now. Sign me up for heel Owen Hart.
That's right, baby.
I'm all about it. I mean, I'm on his train dating back to when he was fighting Bigelow and he tore his ACL and he finished the fucking match. I mean, what the hell? And that was like 4 months ago and this guy's still wrestling. It's insane. Yeah. But yeah, he's probably one of like him and Jarrett, I think are 2 guys heel wise I'm super excited for to see how they do in 94.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just to kind of gloss over the match here with you. First of all, this Aldi version of Jerry Lawler that he's fucking fighting. Holy shit, man. Let's go through this really quick. So this fucking guy. Here's his attire. Ready? This fucker has like a royal blue and electric green Jerry Lawler style, like top and bottoms on. They have stars on the back. He wore short gold boots and like flowery shin pads. It almost looked like a Hawaiian shirt for shin pads. It was the most ridiculous fucking outfit. He was pretty out of shape.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to have too much skill. Owen was working circles around this motherfucker. Owen was having a match against himself. The other guy just happened to be in there. He was working his ass off. His moves looked great. He's already kind of come into his own as far as this newer character is concerned. Of course, he's not in the royal blue attire that he's been wearing, or the powder blue, attire. And he's not like the happy-go-lucky. He's definitely a more focused Owen Hart. And we don't know yet whether or not it's necessarily better or worse. Like, we got an idea. But it's not quite apparent yet, because following the match, Bobby got up from the table to interview Owen at ringside. And Bobby was asking him all these kinds of questions, asking about Superstar of the Year trophy with Brett, asking about the situation. Oh, what happened at Survivor Series? How's your family doing? How have they taken it? Owen basically refuses to answer any of the questions, kind of just shakes his head and makes his way to the back. So it's very interesting. Owen's kind of like dark and mysterious. Like, what is going to happen here? Is he going to pull the gun and pull the trigger, or is the gun going to go back in his holster and he's just going to hug his brother and everything's going to be okay? We don't know, but we have an idea.
Well, it came across like Owen doesn't even know.
Right.
He doesn't know if he's supportive or if he's like, fuck this guy for real. Like, I hate you.
Either way, he's sick of it.
Yeah. And the thing is, with him not answering, is one of those examples where silence enhances it, because as a viewer, you're like, that doesn't tell me that he's mad. That doesn't tell me he's happy. I don't know.
And I have to keep watching to find out.
Like, what's going to happen now? Like, I want to know what's going on with Owen and Brett.
Exactly.
So I love that they didn't give an immediate response like 5 days after the event or whatever.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That's how you drag it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. And to go back to the match and how the opponent maybe wasn't on a proper level for Owen. If you put Reno Riggins in that match, it's probably going to come across significantly better.
For sure.
Or like Scott Taylor, who wrestles here in a minute.
Yeah, Scott Taylor for sure. Him too. Mm-hmm.
So after that promo by Owen, we get a Raw ad. It's the one where the man refuses sex with a smoking hot babe. So runs
the fat guy. Yeah.
Just
weird. It's fucking weird.
I don't know. As a wrestling fan, I'd be like, dude, you're dumb.
Yeah, you're a nerd. Like, what a fucking loser. Yeah.
The main event this week is Ludwig Borga taking on Scott Taylor. Taylor tries to knock Borga off his feet in the early moments, but he gets decked with a clothesline, which quickly ends any kind of momentum. Borga doesn't like a few fans in the front row waving some American flags towards him. Like, he looks like sincerely disgusted. Borga lifts Taylor into the air and then strikes him in the midsection on the way down. And then he wins the match moments later with the torture rack for the submission victory. Now, they haven't made any kind of connection that Luger was using that move in a previous land of opportunity.
Right.
World Championship Wrestling, but maybe diehard fans could see how, he's using the same move. Like, this could... Obviously, Luger's using the forearm now, so they probably won't even do anything. But, Borga was pretty boring. This strikes, basic nonsense of...
I'm sick of Ludwig Borga. Like, I'm so bored it's not even funny, and I literally wrote that. He just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, this Borga match, especially with Scott Taylor, like, come on, you're expecting at least, if nothing else, a decent fucking enhancement match. Like, no, we pretty much get nothing. Not to mention his attire looks like spandex lederhosen. I fucking hate his outfit. He's dull. He's vanilla. Just so vanilla. And as like a villain, you can't be vanilla.
No, yeah, you need to have a personality with you. And I feel Borga's the type of guy where if he was around when Hogan was on top, he's the guy that you do
you feed him to him for,
Right. You do a house show run.
And then that's it.
Maybe get two of them. Yeah. He'll be gone by 6 months.
Exactly. Exactly.
Call it a day. He'll work the territories for years and make money off of that.
That's
He's not
it.
you build around or anything.
Yeah. And it just, I couldn't stress enough. I literally wrote yawn. Like I have that in my notes, yawn. Just bored. So bored.
Yeah, I think Borg is kind of becoming another like turn the channel.
Anchor.
Yeah, weighing
He's
it
an
down
anchor.
for sure. We go backstage where the 1-2-3 Kid is with Razor Ramon, and they are asked by McMahon if Kid will wrestle Michaels next week. Ramon says that Kid can beat anybody, and he knows that firsthand, of course, referencing his loss to him back in May. Kid said he's coming at Michaels full steam, and he's going to give 100%.
Mr. Michaels.
He's just coming across too much like a nerd.
Yeah, he's a cornball. And like if you're hanging out with Razor Ramon for the last, month, some of his cool should have rubbed off by now.
Yeah.
Like, how are you still the biggest fucking dork on the card? There's no way.
That's exactly, I mean, that's the vibe I got. he's a dweeb.
Well, he says Mr. Michaels. Like,
Yeah,
I'm going to show you, Mr. Michaels.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, you fucking dork.
I
Even
don't
Bobby
like-
Heenan makes fun of him.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm over the squeaky clean 1-2-3 Kid. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
over
exactly
that.
what it is.
I'm over that. He's beyond that at this point.
Well, when you're in a confrontation with somebody, it just sounds weird to be like, you know what, Mr. Skinner, I'm going to knock your teeth out.
Out of respect, though, not to like mock me.
Yeah.
But
It's like,
I respect
formally
you.
addressing them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
I wasn't.
I agree.
That made me like raise my eyebrow. Like, what? It doesn't.
Yeah.
This is a weird thing. McMahon promotes the replay for Survivor Series again. So I think that's about the third time on this show
Yeah.
that they're telling you to buy a show that has already happened.
Yeah.
We get a WWF Royal Rumble video game ad, and then they run down what we'll see next week. And it will be Doink the Clown will be in singles action. Crush will be competing in singles action. And a match between 1-2-3 Kid and Shawn Michaels will be taking place. And that wraps up the November 29th edition of Raw. Austin, what did you think of the show this week?
Well, before we fade to black here on the episode, we did get a closing shot of Bret Hart hoisting up the Superstar of the Year trophy. So that kind of sends us off. With that said, I would say, if that's supposed to be a memorable moment or a historic moment, this was a pretty middle of the road Raw at best, honestly. Especially following a pay-per-view here, and that's seems to be per usual at this point. There's a couple of storylines I have zero interest in, incorporating guys like Doink, Bam Bam, Borga. Just, I've lost steam on a lot of things, and I think they really need to freshen things up quick because there's already a couple guys on their roster that are super stale, just super, like, beyond stale. Also worth noting that this, as we kind of touched on, was a very click-heavy show. I feel like one member or another was almost in like every scene of the episode. Like we saw a lot of click this episode. Kind of interesting to see. Seeds have definitely been planted here. We know that this is going to be a common theme moving forward, and it could be worse. You know what I mean? Really, the four guys that are a part of this clique, as they, either the boys or they refer to themselves as, pretty talented guys. So I guess I can't hate it from a fan perspective. Behind the scenes, who knows? I wasn't there. But, from the outside looking in, kind of okay with it. I don't really mind that. Also, I think they are starting to run out of ideas for Jarrett vignettes. I mean, this one was still funny, but it's starting to get a little bit played out. Like, what else can we do? How many times, where else in Tennessee can they walk around kind of thing? So I think it's definitely, it's high time for him to debut on TV. Like we're ready for that at this point. As a show whole, again, middle of the road, I'd say skippable for the most part. I am into the Owen and Brett stuff and look forward to see where that's going. I miss Adam Bomb. There's definitely talent that is there. it's either being misused or not used at all. That's kind of how I'm feeling at this point to kind of wrap up one of the later episodes in 1993.
Yeah, I thought the show was decent at best. It's like you said, middle of the road. It's not horrible. Certainly not great.
We've seen worse for sure.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say I regret watching it or anything.
No.
Or nor like did I not enjoy it. It was just kind of there.
Yeah.
But like the positives, I'll probably focus on more here. Is the Ramon Michaels like aftermath. I enjoyed that with the attack, the tease of it all, and then the award ceremony. Just because it has so many questions and you don't even know where the hell they're going with it. Like who's going to be their top guy for 94. So that, like in that sense, that's interesting, intriguing. It has a bunch of question marks. And of course, Owen Hart in his match and aftermath there. Those are the highlights for the show. And then next week's show, I mean, 1, 2, 3 Kid Shawn Michaels, that has my interest.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I couldn't care any less about Doink the Clown. So like you have an extreme positive and you have an extreme negative, and it automatically makes you neutral. For me, at least. So I'm going into next week with not high expectations, but wishful thinking that it'll be good.
It's almost like you got to roll with the punches, kind of at this point. It's like you said, you go from something like that to be dragged down with something else. You'll have a match where you'll see a nice little match with two guys, and then next out, fucking Bastion Booger's coming out. You know what I mean? It's a very mixed bag at this point. Even more so than it was in the beginning of the year when Raw was fucking brand new. I almost feel like now that it's, for the most part, established, they're still taking pieces in and out and switching pieces around. Mm-hmm. And it's very obvious.
Yep. No question about that. Yeah, but 94 is shaping up to be, I guess we're kind of like really hyping it up, 94.
Well, I am. I'm excited, man.
Full of potential. Yeah, I am as well. I am for sure excited about it and seeing how things play out. We just have to make it through 93.
Right.
Got a couple more episodes left. Hopefully we can do that. Hopefully Doink won't be around too much longer. Maybe Dink will have a freak accident.
Right.
And we'll have to write him off or something.
Yeah.
But, so needless to say, this week's Raw for us was middle of the road. That's the general consensus. We clearly have two different mindsets about Brett and Luger, so that'll be interesting to see maybe if that changes over time, the next few weeks or month or two, maybe see where they go, which is always good. I'd rather have us be kind of differing than repetitive with like, yeah, that's true, that sucked.
Yeah, it was good. Cool. Next match, yeah, it was good. Cool.
That was good. Great. Yeah, that's it. Right. That's a great 15-minute podcast. See you later.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah. So we're I have really nothing else for this episode because there's nothing that we haven't already discussed.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much tapped it out here. I mean, this is definitely, again, we have probably, I want to say like 5 or 6 more Raws, something like that. Maybe not even, maybe 5 more, something like that. So it's interesting to see, it's almost as if 94, they've already kind of started. This is where we're headed. I mean, who's going to be the top guy? You got the Clique. They're going to be around a while. They're going to be jockeying for positions. There's a couple of heels sprinkled in that, could possibly do some damage in 1994. Who's going to be the main heel? What's Undertaker going to do? How's Owen going to fit in?
How soon will Virgil win the WWF World Championship?
No, immediately, of course. That's not even a question.
I mean, he should be the guy that wins realistically, Virgil should win the 1994 Royal Rumble. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, because he would just use his penis as like a kickstand, so his feet would never hit the ground.
It's fucking no-brainer.
He could just like pogo stick his way back into the ring.
2 feet got it to foot. They that's the whole goal. 2 feet got to touch the floor. They didn't say nothing about dick. So there you go. Kofi Kingston ain't got shit on Virgil.
Yeah. Didn't Virgil on Twitter one time try to play it off like Kofi was his son or some shit?
Yeah, something like that.
Something stupid.
Yeah.
That fucking Virgil.
But in all seriousness, yes, I think in a lot of senses, 1994 is already starting to kick off a little bit early. So,
yeah, for sure. And we were looking forward for everybody that listens to join us. Of course, if you want to suggest for your friends to tune in and listen to this general fun, go ahead and do it. Why not? We have a blast doing this. We've maintained it for a year. Don't know how we've done it, but we've done it.
that's right.
With us and even moving to Florida. You can't get away from me there, sucker.
Shit.
I'll always find you.
Damn it.
Building 7. Okay, I'm gonna get you.
That's not my building.
Damn it.
What the fuck?
All right. Well, for Austin Skinner, I'm Bob Conley Jr., and this has been IcoPod.
You gotta hear it.